too. That's good there. So I'm not only I'm this family with Matt, a very good friend of Matt's. I was also his chief, and he was a heck of a guy. It kind of bothered me, all the hurdles that Matt surpassed during his illness. He got sick, he's in the hospital, he'd be up and he'd be down and up and down, and he always came out. So I truly thought he was going to be able to pull through this, and he gave it one hell of a fight. He always smiled. I ran into one of his grade school teachers the other day, and she was giving me her condolences, and she said, you know, and I asked her about him in grade school. I thought, boy, he must have been somebody to have in grade school, because for as long as I've known him, talk. And I said, boy, he must have been something in grade school. And she says, no, he was a good kid. And I said, did he smile as much then as he does now? And she said, yes, he was always a happy kid, always smiley. So, when you see those smiley face stickers and stuff like that, wherever you're at, think of Matt, because he's a smiley face. Then there's Safety Joe, and a lot of us got to love Safety Joe. And he'd come on, whether it be bad weather or what it was, he always came out, and he had his Safety Joe videos, and it was kind of funny, because when you got done seeing one of the Safety Joe videos, you couldn't wait for the next one to see what kind of goofy stuff Matt was going to come up with. So if you see a traffic cone, remember Safety Joe. And why did he have to go so early? And everybody wonders that. And I think, honestly, sometimes God puts somebody on earth to make a certain number of people smile, to make a certain number of people happy, change their days. Somebody's having a bad day, you run into Matt, your day just got better. It's just the way it was. He made everybody happy and fun to be around. I thought about what Matt not getting the lungs that he needed meant. And kind of what it is, it meant that another family didn't have to go through what we're going through right now. So maybe that's the sacrifice that Matt made, just knowing that if I get my lungs, somebody else's family is going through the hell that my family is going to have to go through, and he chose to let. And that's how Matt would be. He'd say, "Don't destroy that family to help me." So that's kind of how I'm looking at that. One thing I would say to the kids, who have been very, very strong through all of this, I'm amazed at their resilience, the way they carry on, and Matt's ways and everything. And there's been sadness and stuff. And I just want to say, it is way okay to cry. It is all right to cry. I've cried a lot. I'm going to cry more tonight. I guarantee it. I just know it's going to happen. But it's always okay to cry. It doesn't matter who you are. Cry and talk about it. And he was truly a friend of many. I don't know of an enemy that Matt had, somebody that he couldn't get along with. He was one of those guys. He's one of those very rare characters that when you ran into him, you instantly were a friend of his, and he treated you like a friend. You doing flowers? Flower story? Okay. I'm gonna miss our pool nights, where he'd come flying by in the old moped doing a speed run, and you'd hear the old meet on the way by, and he'd go to his time patrol, come flying by in the speed run, meet, then he'd turn around, come back, and have a few beers, BS for a while or whatever. And I think it was one night when he was doing that, there was a few of us in the pool. Matt ended up being in the pool, 3 of us guys out there, until about 3 o'clock in the morning, so it got to be a pretty long time run. And the other one, you might have saw the video back there, a video of Matt and Kayla sitting in our hot tub, and there's no water in it. And we were gone. They thought we were home. There were some lights or something on in the house, and they thought we were gone. So they're sneaking around the house trying to get in the hot tub without us knowing that they were going in the hot tub. And they opened up the cover, and the hot tub was empty. So they sent us a video like, "Where's the water?" That's about it. That's about it for me. But I'm gonna miss the guy. He was great fun, and pretty hard to replace somebody like that. As a chief, I want to say he was a great firefighter. If I asked for something, he never said no. If I asked him to do something, you know, there's a lot of extra stuff that goes on behind the scenes. It's not just going out to a fire or a car accident. There's stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and it takes an entire department to make that stuff happen. And Matt was part of the entire department. He never turned me down. He was always entertaining, and he talked just as much up there as he did anywhere else too. So Monday nights after our training and our meetings and stuff like that, a lot of times we'd have the football game on. You could watch it, but you couldn't hear it. I'm gonna miss that. There's a lot of stuff that just ain't gonna be the same. And this one is from Angie, Matt's sister-in-law. When I think of Matt, it's his smile, it's his laugh, and it's his hilarious personality, and the goofy things he does to make people laugh. Matt was not only my sister's husband, he was my brother. I loved him so very much. I haven't slept well since he passed. Now when I close my eyes, I see him laying in his hospital bed, not smiling, not laughing, and not being the goofball that he was. That's not Matt. That's not how it's supposed to be. I still have a hard time comprehending that he's really gone. I struggle every day. Why Matt? And the only thing I came up with is that God takes only the best, and that he needed some entertainment out there. And then there's the Florida story. The four of us were in Florida, driving down the road. Do you remember where we were going? We were going from one place to another somewhere. Were we going up to the fire? Going up to the... You can't go out of town without stopping at a fire station and getting a few t-shirts. So we were going up to Titusville to the fire station, and Matt didn't like silence, as everybody knows. So if nobody was talking, Matt would talk. And nobody talked for a long time. So Matt talked and talked and talked and talked and talked. He just did not like silence. So after a while, me and Angie kind of glanced at each other. It was like, is he ever going to shut up? Perhaps. And it wasn't 30 seconds later, Kayla is like, Matt, would you just shut up for a while? Yeah. What I would give to hear that voice again, Maddie. The moped, he loved that thing. He used to cruise by our house beeping, that thing you call a horn, come back, stop for a beer. That was the one thing he was worried about Kayla selling when he was in the hospital, was that damn moped. I texted Matt one day when he was in the hospital to see how he was doing. I sent him a weird funny face on Snapchat and told him I hope this would put a smile on his face. His response was, thanks, Angie. I immediately texted Kayla and said something's wrong with Matt. He called me Angie. She said that she thought that was odd too. Matt doesn't call me Angie. He always calls me Sissy or Lipa. I don't remember where that nickname came from, but that's what Matt called me. I honestly can't even remember the last time I heard him call me by my name. I'm his Lipa, and will always be his Sissy. Matt loved with his whole heart, loved his friends, and loved his family. I love you, Maddie. So damn close. And will forever miss you.
So I'm Brittany. I worked with Matt as part of the ambulance service. And so I just, on behalf of the ambulance service and the fire service as well, we're one big family. And I think this instance has really shown that when something like this happens, we come together and it's just one big family. You can't describe that, and that's how Matt was. It didn't matter if we were out on an ambulance call, even if fire wasn't there. A lot of times he showed up at the station out of the blue, and he would just say, hey, you guys okay? You know, and then he was there making us laugh and dancing and doing stupid stuff like he typically did. So we're going to sure miss that. And then I have a letter written by a friend of Matt's that I'm going to read. Shelby Sandy. Welcome, friends and family, and thank you for coming today. We gather today not to mourn the loss of Matt, but to celebrate the life of an amazing man. Seeing every person here goes to show you how much Matt impacted each of you. Where to even begin? This is one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, and for the past week I've been thinking to myself, how do I sum up in a few short words the person Matt was? There is just no possible way, even if I wrote an entire book. I have had the pleasure of growing up with Matt and cheered him on through each milestone he hit, from getting his license to graduating high school, marrying the love of his life, making his dream into a reality, joining the fire department, and last but certainly not the least, becoming a dad. Those are just some of the big milestones Matt hit. A memory forever imprinted in my mind was when we had computer class together. We were in the middle of doing our work, the radio was on, and Cher's song, Believe, came on, and Matt sang it like he was sang it like he was the next American Idol, not missing a single beat or note. And not only did Matt sing his heart out, but we all joined in as well. This is just one of the many memories I have with him. Matt was a giver and never needed anything in return. His heart, man oh man, his heart was painted with gold. He was someone you could count on no matter the time, day, or night. He would always be there. He was a best friend, a brother, a son, a devoted husband, dad, and a good line of BS giver. Maybe a cold Coors Light or two added in. Matt had an infectious smile, laugh, and personality that no one can replace. He loved with all he had. He never fell short of showing the world how proud he was to call Kayla his wifey and becoming a dad to Maddie and Kaden. No matter the situation, good or bad, Matt always came out on top with a do-good and be-good attitude. Of anybody that I've ever met in my lifetime who had lived life to its fullest, it was Maddie. Even through the storms, a rainbow shined above him. Matt, you will be missed more than you will ever know. Your legacy will live on through Kayla, your family, your friends, and your kids, and the community. Your smile and personality is something that will be in our memories, along with your live life to the fullest mentality. Like the song says by Hardy, I hope you hit those gold streets on 2 wheels. I hope your mansion in the sky has a 10-acre field with some mud and some hubs you can walk in, make some thunder, make them wonder how you got in, hide your beer, hide your clear from the man upstairs, crank it loud and hold it down until we get there. When we all do, I hope you have some new stories to tell. Until then, Sids, give heaven some help. With your loss comes a huge hole that cannot be filled. Goodbye, dearest friend, until we meet again. My name is Brooke Summerfeld, but to Matt I was referred to as Blondie or Chief's daughter, because whenever we broke something or did something that Chief riled up, he always said, blame Chief's daughter. You can't be mad at her for more than 5 seconds. Sorry. Matt was my cousin, my brother, and most important, he was my friend. He's everybody's friend. I don't mean that in some cliche way. I mean that Matt made friends with anybody who was lucky enough to meet him. Matt didn't have a mean bone in his body. I, along with many others, could stand up here all day and tell you about some of my most memorable memories with Matt, but I narrowed it down to a few of my favorites. Any fire department event wasn't complete until Matt was there. Whether it be our fire department picnics, the fireman's dance, or even just a meeting, Matt's laugh and smile was always the life of the room. Sometimes after fire meetings, Matt, Alex, and I would drive to McDonald's to get food and sing our hearts out to what was ever on the radio. Matt was always the loudest, if that surprises any of you. Another memory I cherish with Matt is one night after the beer tent at Neighbor Days. I was desperate for ice cream at midnight, so Matt was determined to get me some. Matt, Alex, and I walked to Matt and Kayla's. Before we got in the house, Matt said, you need to be very quiet, quiet so we don't wake up Kayla. The funny thing about being drunk is you always think you're being a lot more quiet than you actually are. Kayla, if this doesn't ring a bell, that means we successfully completed our mission in not waking you. When Matt was in the ICU at Sacred Heart, and I was there to drop off a patient in the ambulance for work, I would sneak in the ICU to see Matt. The first time I stepped up there, his call light was on, so I told the nurse I would go in and see what he needed. The first thing he said when I walked into the room, "Oh great, Brooke, I just shit my pants and you walk in." He also informed me that his toenails were painted, and they were. They were bright orange for deer hunting season. The day Matt passed away, my dad and I were driving home from the hospital with Matt and Kayla's kids. We had to stop at Matt and Kayla's house to let out their dogs and let the kids grab some things. Walking into the house that they had made a home was very overwhelming. To see all of their pictures, all of their memories, it was hard. I, as well as my dad, was in tears. Just as we were getting ready to leave the house, their cat knocked over a vase of flowers onto the ground and the vase broke. All that I could think in that moment was this damn cat. Now is not the time. I walked over to clean it up and realized it was the vase of flowers that Matt had sent Kayla when he was in the hospital. I picked up the note card that read, "Smile, everything will be okay. Love, Matt." I wholeheartedly believe that that was a sign for Matt. He's still here. Matt wants us to know that we need to smile and that everything will be okay. Dave Balco, you said it best when you said to live more like Matt. I have already started practicing this motto by not ironing my uniform shirt for today because, let's be honest, Matt wouldn't have either. In all seriousness, the saying is simple. Live more optimistic. Don't let the small shit get you down. I have never seen Matt without a smile on his face, and if it did, it was because he was on the first light. Live more loving. Love everybody, even the people that have done you wrong. Live more generous. Lend a helping hand to anybody and everybody whenever you can. Matt was always there to help when you needed him, even if it's just to make sure you get your drunk ice cream craving fixed. Live more carelessly. Stop caring so damn much about what other people will think of you. Don't be afraid to be goofy. Live more present. Tell your loved ones that you love them. Right after you leave here, go home and tell them. Call your friend or your parent or grandparent you haven't talked to in a while and set up lunch because I promise that you won't regret it. The world needs more people like Matt. So live more like Matt.
Does anybody else here want to come up and say anything about Matt? Have any goofy stories, memories? I thought you were grabbing those in preparation for your speech.
No.
I know there's a lot of stories out there and it's tough to do, so, but if there's anybody at all that wants to come up and tell a Matt story, feel free. Okay.
I don't know if I can do this. Matt was more than somebody. I thought of him as a little boy. I had Matt in Missouri with me. Kathy didn't have Facebook set up on her telephone. He said, "Dad, what do you think? Think Mom get mad at you? Or will she accept it?" Matt set her Facebook deal up, sent it to her. He started putting goofy shit on it. He laughed. He kept me awake all that night. And I don't know. Everybody needs to pull together and don't ever forget Matt, because I never would.
Anybody else wanna come up and say anything? Last call. All right, anybody else?
And this is from Kayla. When thinking about a song to play in Matt's memory, so many came to mind. His go-to neighborhood rock song, Bad Boys, Bad Boys. The song to the favorite video of him dancing with the kids, Boot, Scoot, and Boogie. His ridiculous ringtone that he let ring longer so he could dance to it, Cotton Eye Joe. A little Whitney Houston that he sang in the last video he ever sent to me, I always love you. The wedding song, You Want to Ever Be Lonely. When Matt first got sick, we heard this song, and it just struck and carried us through the last couple of months, and will continue to carry the kids and I through the rest of our lives.
Where the hell's Matt? He's the technical guy.
This is a letter from Matt, Kayla's daughter Maddie to Matt. And it might be a little bit tough to read because it's handwritten, and I'm not just a good reader for handwritten stuff, so here we go. I will always love you, Dad. You were always there for me when I needed you. We will not be the same without you, Dad. Just remember we are always there in your heart. You are going to be a part of our family forever. My favorite thing about you is, well, I can't really pick. There's a lot, but one was that you will do a lot for all of us. This is going to be a big change in our life. Even though you're always in our hearts, we will never forget you. We will love you and miss you. But at least we know that you loved us very much and still do. I love you and miss you, Dad. You are always here with us all the time. Love you, Dad. We miss you. Maddie. Where'd she go? Good job, Maddie. That's very nice. Okay, it's not right. I hope that I can. All right. This one's from Kayla to Matt and everybody. As I've reflected on the last 71 days, the only consistent thing I find is myself asking why. Why did this happen? Why wasn't this me? Why did God bring my husband as far as he did just to take him away? Why? Today is not about me or anyone else. Today is about Matt and who he was. To put into words how amazing Matt was is something I've had a difficult time doing. Not because he wasn't simply one of the best, but because he was so much more than that. He was not just one thing. He was everything. My everything. Matt is the love of my life. A devoted husband who showed me how important I was to him every day, who argued like any couple will do. We argued like any couple will do. He was a people pleaser and hated conflict. The man pissed me off when he just wouldn't argue with me. He'd always find it funny or make some smart-ass joke to make me laugh and get over whatever the argument was. Matt entertained my crazy ideas. Let's get another dog. Let's buy a new car. Let's drive to Tennessee. Let's buy a boat. Let's remodel a part of the house. He was hesitant with every idea and had a reason why we probably shouldn't. To be fair, most of the time he was right. But we almost always did it anyway. 5 years ago, I said, let's become foster parents. And with that seriously Kayla look, he said okay, but I don't know how to be someone's parent. He did it, and he did it well, with all 7 of our foster children. 3 years ago, I said, let's adopt our kids, but this time, without that look, he said, absolutely we should. He was a loving father, a real-life hero to our son Caden, and a daddy to Madeline, who undoubtedly is a daddy's girl. He loved our kids with his entire heart, and he always showed them. One of the most important things to him was giving them our last name. We started this adoption together, and I'm heartbroken that he won't be here to see it through. Thank you for showing them what a loving family and a dedicated father was. I promise you, Matt, they will always know and remember their dad. Matt was full of life and had a wild personality. He never held a grudge and loved everyone, even when it was hard to do, or they treated him wrong. He was dedicated to his friends and his brothers at the fire department. He took pride in being part of in our community. You couldn't have a bad day if you had Matt in it. Everything he was going through, the week after he was extubated, He had the heart to send me flowers at work with a note that said, "Smile, everything is going to be okay. Love, Matt." Thank you for always reminding me to just go with whatever came and just live because everything is going to be okay. I'll never forget the day Matt came home and said, "I think I should buy Eric's moped." Since he was always joking, it was hard to know when he was being serious or messing with me, so I sarcastically said, "Go ahead." 1 hour later, he was pulling in the driveway with that damn moped. Known to my family as the Little Mean Red Machine, and it quickly became his signature piece. He traveled the town doing what he called his neighborhood watch with his loud, obnoxious songs, a shit grin on his face, and a beer. I think he loved it more than me sometimes. He'd come home after his ride and say, "The neighborhood has been watched," or, "I didn't see any crime. I must have scared them away with my sweet jams." Matt worked hard to provide for our family. Together we built a life we loved and worked hard for what we had. But guilt. I have so much guilt with how we lived having materialistic things and how I never said the words, "I appreciate you," enough. There are so many memories and laughs I could go on and on. There was something new every day. Today I need to say that I should have said what I should have said every day for the last 13 years. Matt, though our time together wasn't nearly enough, thank you for loving me when it was difficult to do. Thank you for your hard work and all the times you went the extra mile to give us the life you so generously thought we deserved. I forgive you for all the times you hopped the bed, stole all my covers. I forgive you for all the summers you left the house below zero and made us wear winter attire. I appreciate you, I am proud of you, and I am sorry for not telling you enough how much I needed you. We both know this was a long and hard 2 months, and it tested us. We fought like hell and gave it all you had, but you were tired, and you need to know that was okay. Your pain was my pain, and I have some peace knowing your pain is now gone. Please remember, I was there every day, and my love for you and dedication to you only grew stronger. We were the tough ones, still standing when all the hell came, still believing when the sun didn't shine. We didn't quit when it didn't go right, and we were never going to break. We were the tough ones. We had a lot of plans, but God had other ones. Please watch over our children and let me know you are with me. You will forever be a part of us. The kids and I are lucky to have you as a guardian angel. I will always love you, Matt Siddons. We gave life one hell of a ride. just so everybody knows, we'll be going outside after this for a fire truck parade.
Toledo firefighter Matt Siddons, this is your final call. All stations, this is final call for firefighter Matt Siddons. Matt was not only a brother, a father, a husband, friend. He was a brother to so many. As you have your wings now, please watch over all of us on our next alarm. You're going to be deeply missed. Firefighter Matt Siddons, this is your last alarm. Brother, we will take it from here.
We're gonna have the Lord's Prayer.
So before we gather outside, if we can have everyone join us in the Lord's Prayer, then we're gonna excuse everyone from the chapel. Family will go first to get their coats on before we have the parade. So at this time, if we can join in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. So at this time, the immediate family, we're going to excuse you first to get your coats on. And then as the family is excused, the rest of the people can also get their coats on. And if we can gather outside for the fire truck parade.